For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a bit of a review video on a awning from Dometic. So this here is Dometic Club All-Season range. So Dometic almost takes over from kind of the Kampa. So in 2020 we saw the dual brand of Kampa and Dometic, and Dometic's basically kind of just replaced the name. It's now Dometic Awning. So everything we've known and loved from Kampa over the many years is actually exactly the same, just the fact it's got almost like a different badge on it. Same kind of ethos, same kind of design team, same thing everywhere, just the fact that it's now just called something different. It's had a name change. So the All-Season Club was an addition to the 2020 season. It was really popular. Main reason because that's sort of more that classical kind of look. You've got the internal sort of space, but you had it in that all-season material. And again, if you look at the sort of price difference between the Pro version and the all-season version, there wasn't a huge amount of difference between it. But what you've got here is something that's more, it could be longer lasting. Okay, it's a little bit heavier, but it's breathable, it's more durable, you can leave it up for longer periods of time. Even if you use it in a more of a touring use, you can still use it in that way because it's quick and easy to pitch, just a little bit heavier in terms of its pack size and feeding it through the rail. But when you take everything into consideration with things like the sort of reduced amount of condensation you get in it and the lifespan you find of it, generally it's a really great idea. You can have something that's bigger, well, not bigger, but better, more durable, less condensation, all but a little bit heavier. So that's where it really works. It's available in two different sizes. You can get the club in a 330 width or a 390, and then it's a standard 275 deep. So essentially 3.3 meters or 3.9. And again, as we kind of got it here, you can then add extra extensions onto the side. So if you want to make it bigger, you can get this almost 2 meter extension, which is the same depth. And because it actually freestands, it means that in theory you can make this awning bigger than your caravan. So in theory it'd be bigger than a full awning. And again, quick, easy in pitch. You've got a single inflation point located down here that'll pump up the whole awning. But then you've got each bottom of each beam's got its own deflation point, so it means it's easy to get the air out. So I've pitched this model on my own the best part of about 10 minutes, and you can see that from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video how quick, simple and easy it really is. Joys is to say, because you've got that kind of all-season fabric, it's going to be a better and a more adjustable kind of model than the Pro version. So because you've got that breathability kind of function, on a warm day it'd be a lot cooler inside, so it makes it perfect going for a continent or even a warm day in the UK. On the flip side of that, when it's actually colder, it keeps the warmth in. So it's the best of both worlds in terms of the temperature side of things. It's just the fact that you pay more for that, which is understandable. You pay for what you get. The traditional sign with this little canopy, which is completely air as well, means that you can have almost the front doors partially open and not have to worry about water coming down and straight into it. You've got these two big nice panels with a great big PVC window, but there's also a little side door here as well. So you can zip that back a little bit, use that as an entrance, or if you want to remove the panel completely, you can do. And again, the front panels and the side panels completely remove. So you almost got this like gazebo kind of point, which means that your minimum weight when you're packing it or sort of feeding it through the rail is reduced quite a bit, and that's the key thing. You can almost take the sides out, take the front out, put that in a completely separate bag, along with the pump and the pegs and whatever you want to put in there, the curtains. It means you then got two much more manageable bags rather than one big hefty one. So that's probably a good thing I would sort of recommend. You've got wearing storm straps braced on the front, and then there's additional storm straps on the side, which you can add to really sort of give it bounce and braces, and those for me are a bit more necessity. The extensions, as we can see here, come in a right or left-handed, depends if you want it on the right side of the awning or the left side of the awning. And again, one thing to mention, actually, to be fair, the all-season extensions for 2021, so i.e. Dometic one, isn't compatible with the previous years. The zip lengths have changed slightly due to a feature which I will go on to later. And it means that essentially now it's not compatible. You can also buy an additional kind of sun canopy in the same all-season fabric. So if you want just almost like a sail coming out the side with a few poles, that works really nicely as well, and that's a good optional extra to also look at, especially when you want something like, say, your sort of enclosed storage area or wet dry area, which is that sort of perfect for. You almost on the other side can then have that canopy looking like it is so. You've also got little clips located on the front here as well. So you can actually have a kind of a windbreak and air brake inflatable that matches inside. You create that little enclosure. So you've got that sort of wind protection around the barrier. You then suddenly got like a very nice sheltered outside space. To combat that as well, what you can also have is a zip located here, so you can buy a sun canopy. So you can actually have the sun canopy and the windbreak in one. So you've got your sort of, again, internal space. It's all sealed up and nice and cozy with your nice carpet area. You come out in here, you've got shelter from the wind, shelter from the rain, and you've got a bit more ventilation. So it creates that perfect scenario. And it's what you see up in our indoor display showroom. That's kind of how we have it set up. We have the works, we've got the extension, the windbreak, the, you know, everything you can possibly think to it, just to sort of show it off. And it's that sort of, well, this model in many ways is pretty much kind of Dometic's flagship model. Other things to bear in mind is now this model is actually available in, it's got a very clever height system. So one model, which we see here behind me, will fit a caravan and also now fit a motorhome. So there's now a second beading that runs along the very top of the awning itself, so you can feel it directly into a cassette awning. Now, they've been very cunning, and there's a zip located just down the side panel. And what you can actually do is kind of open it up, and it sort of spreads it open, so it means that you actually can get it to a higher point. So this now awning will fit a caravan, a motorhome with a height bracket of 235 to 250, i.e. the same as a caravan. But also if you extend the back up, you can then get it up to a 265. So you've then suddenly got one awning which will fit 3 different types of vehicles, which means that it's much easier to pick the right product, make sure it's going to work. Again, that is the same with the 330 width as the 390. So you'll kind of, what you also see at the end of it, so it will say Dometic Club Air 390 All-Season S. S stands for standard, so that's 235 to 265. So as long as your vehicle or whatever you've got fits in that height bracket, the S size is perfect for you. You then got an M size, which is basically 265 to 295, so it's for the taller kind of motorhomes. And then in the 390 size, you then got an OW, which fits 295 to 325, so it's that massive Winnebago RVs that you probably see in the States. Not really much going to fit that. Most people will be in that S size, and then occasionally go into the L if you've got a slightly bigger motorhome. To create this, what they've done is actually shorten the cater length a little bit, so you haven't got this whole big kind of wing that comes out. They've got this apex ventilation system, so it's still got a nice vent in the corner, which we'll look at on the inside in a second. So you've got airflow running throughout it to help with sort of that circulation air to help sort of fight condensation, but the fabric's going to really give a big help with that anyway. Let's have a look inside the awning and talk through a few more features kind of that the club has to offer. So now inside the club, you kind of get a bit more feel for the sheer amount of space you've got in here. And one thing that's probably very apparent is that kind of slightly deeper than average depth. So that 275 deep really helps to sort of make it feel quite roomy and spacious in here. It really helps to find when you're actually coming, say, out of your caravan, you're not walking out straight on top of your furniture. And because you've got that real straight, flat front, it means everything can be pushed further up to the edge. It means it maximises every sort of square inch of the inside of here. Now, one thing again, because you've got kind of the way it's designed with the arch system going up, it feels very roomy in here, and that also helps to make it feel quite big. You know, great interior height. I mean, I'm about 6'2", and I can pretty much stand dead underneath that panel and then some. You know, so that really does help to make it things like when you're walking in and out the front doorways, for example, you're not catching your head as you go through, and that's where the club is quite unique in terms of its sizes. Big, crystal clear PVC windows give you great visibility on the campsite as well, but then you've also got traditional kind of style caravan curtains, so you can just kind of unclip it, put it across to where you need it to. There's even a little retaining strap here just to make sure that panel is as tight as it can be to the fabric, just to give you ultimate amount of privacy. And again, when you don't want to necessarily use it, all you do is just come back here, a little retaining clip, just kind of keeps it all at bay. And it's a little popper as well, so you haven't got to fiddle about with sort of a bit of cord and a bit of loop. So things like that is the details that do make quite a bit of difference. A single inflation point like we talked on the outside, so one inflation point will come in here, takes the air up and then distributes it out to wherever you need it to go. It gets done by these kind of these little pipes up here, and you've got isolation taps as well. So you've got the benefit of a 1-point inflation, but the versatility that each tube can be segregated off from one another. So if you had an issue, say, with this particular beam, it's isolated to that beam alone. You can then zip zip it out. Got like a kind of bike tie kind of concept. You've got an outer sleeve and an inner tube, as well as a sleeve in the awning. So it's sort of 3 layers to it. So you'd be doing well to kind of do that in many ways. And you've got this kind of, I would say, garden hose kind of style tap thing. So it's simplistic to do, and just replacing a single bladder is, like I said, nice and easy. Other things to bear in mind is small little detail features like we talked about. So little Velcro tabs for having like a Sabre 150 light in there. So allowing internal lighting, you can have one positioned over here and here, and you can buy, essentially run 2 lights off a single socket. If you don't want to have it there, why not have it in the roof? Another 2 points here and here, and it can allow light to flood in. And what you also see is also one in kind of the extension we've got out the back. With the PVC panels at the front, what you can also do is there's a secondary zip. So if you want to, you can insert a mesh panel into there. So it means you can remove the front panel or drop it down and allow airflow to come directly through the side. For a new thing for 2021 is you've got this little pole system. So it's like a veranda pole. Well, it is a veranda pole. You can extend, so one pole fits pretty much every single awning, and it gives you can sort of fold the fabric directly over the top if you really wanted to, and just gives you a bit more support that you're not going to flap it around. Alternatively, what you can also do as well is kind of pretty much roll the material up in it. So if I take it down to sort of the approximate height you were looking to, rather than having this kind of flap system here, what you can do is extend that pole out pretty much to the max, and then just simply, depends on which way you want to do it, it'll probably look a bit nicer if you do it on the underside of it. Almost fold that in like so, and then just kind of roll it up. So by rolling it up like so, it just means that you haven't got all the extra flappage. You can then just, all but the curtains getting, he's had a nair there, hasn't he? That'll fit in like so. And again, same on that side. So it clips into place, you can then extend it out and lock it in place, and then you've got that little veranda. So you've got that sort of airflow in here without having to worry about material flapping around. Looks a bit neater and a little bit smarter, and you haven't got sort of saggish going down. On the flip side of that, what you've also got is things like little points which are sort of little toggles, if you will, to have a roof line in there. So the roof line is almost like your double glazing kind of effect that you put it in there. It's going to help reduce condensation, which you don't get a huge amount in these kind of all-season models, but also just sort of insulates it. So a little pocket of air between the 2 layers just helps keep it a little bit warm on a cold day. The 2 side panels, as we talked about, can be completely removed, and you can actually switch them into one another. So we've got it now set in kind of the alternative setup where the door is going to be closer towards the end, so it means that you can go out and out that way, whereas traditionally what you find is it actually sits about here. There's also a mesh door built into the actual normal door, so you can have mesh, and then there's a mesh window on one of these panel sides as well, with a kind of PVC outer. So again, you can have the ultimate amount of ventilation. You've still got that little ventilation point at the top here, but it's kind of the apex system now. So it's almost like a little flap that stays open all the time, just to allow the circulation of air. Now, the thing that I said, the real big, massive change for the 2021 season is this kind of height adjustment system. So what it almost is, like I said, is a fold of fabric that you can sort of unzip, open up, and it makes that point up much taller to fit into a set awning as you want it to. It's designed again for motorhomes that this little Velcro part can Velcro off, so you can sit that underneath a cassette and take up that gap that normally sits there. For 99% of people who are just going to use it for a caravan, that's pretty much irrelevant. But it allows you to adjust the height in many ways. So you've got an internal zip and an external zip. So if I open the external zip, there's then an internal zip that opens up. So currently we're sort of situated here at 250, well 235 with an normal caravan. If, for example, we took that height a little bit higher, I can undo the internal zip, and this whole kind of fabric will then drop as soon as I drop the Velcro. So that Velcro comes off, drops down, and then suddenly that all drops down like so. So you see how that sort of folds down, and then that gives you an extra 15 centimeters adjustment. So when we're on uneven ground, like I said, you can actually sort of drop that down, make that sit a bit neater to the ground, that you're not using the very end of the pegging ladder. Traditionally, what you find, it's not very often the vehicle's too low, it's normally too high, and the base doesn't sit as neat and tidy to the bottom as you might expect, and that's where this kind of styling really works. When you don't want to use it, which probably most people for caravans are not going to really, you just kind of simply fold that up, so that whole part there folds up in place, that lip goes over, and it's velcroed in, and you just basically redo that zip up. But the thing is, it's so slight that you're not really going to notice it. It's only if you're going to use a motorhome you might actually use it. So I say, because there's an internal and external zip, you really don't see it at all. But it's still some way of making a nice kind of waterproof scenario. Keeps that panel really nice and taut. Now, because we've got the extension built on, what you can also do is remove that panel completely, and then you've kind of got that seamless kind of one area into your wet and dry area. That's personally how I kind of perceive it. So what we can do actually is just move these curtains back a little bit. Now, you've got essentially 4 zip pullers, so if you want to, you can almost just, again, bring this down like a veranda style. There's no additional pole that's included, but the fabric will pretty much hold on its own. So I'll just fold that over for the time being. There we go. Down we go. And last but not least. So we'll chuck it down there for the time being. Like I said, you open that space up, remove the pegging point, you're in one big area. So suddenly, rather than going from, say, a 3.9 depth, you're looking at a 5.9. So much, much bigger. You've got that area. There's a really big mesh panel built into this window as well, which you can roll up to get the ventilation or seal that down. Curtains again to get the privacy. So wherever you've got visibility, you've also got privacy. The back section, if you've got some storage lockers, what you can actually do is this part of the panel, which I'll bring the camera around in a second, unzips, and you've actually got a window again here. So you've got a window in kind of the top section. So if you want to get visibility, you can do that. But then if you want to access a storage locker, you can unzip that back a little bit, access storage locker as you want, put it back down, and away you go. And because again this free stands, it can go past your hitch or out the back of your caravan. You're not sort of dictated by that in many ways. Other things I should mention is obviously extras you can go with this model. So things like carpets, obviously storm struts we talked about on the outside. I would recommend the rear poles to get that seal against the caravan or motorhome, as well as you can get limpets as well to sort of seal up. So they work almost in conjunction with each other. The pole provides stability, limpets provide sort of suction and sealing. Other things as well are things like there's an inner bedroom that can go in this point. So if you wanted to use this as maybe a sleeping by night and then living room by day, or like I said, wet area by day, you've got that flexibility, as well as an additional annex that you can buy by zipping this panel off and put an annex instead. So you're not having dictated by having an extra room by just having something like this big, which obviously is a bit more money because there's more bits to it, but something simple as an annex can go on the side, all season, match the fabric, and it looks really nice and smart. And if at any point you want more information or sizes, pack sizes and that sort of stuff, you can always check the link below this video, take you straight through our website. We've got all the information you need there. Little details like your sort of windows in the front panel as well, and that slightly deeper depth. You've got this curved arch part, so it allows you to pitch it right every single time. So you'd peg the back out, peg the front out, peg the 2 little blue rings either side. It stops that middle beam from protruding out too far, keeps the roof really nice and taut. You've got this kind of dual pitch roof, so brilliant for sort of internal height, but also help with drainage, the water out where it needs to be. There's also an accessory track built onto it here, so you can put things like storage pockets, hanging rails for coats from front to back. So there's a whole video we've done separately to that about all the accessories you can buy for your camper awning. So it's always worth having a look at that as well and see if there's anything that you like the sound of, or you think that actually would be a help to you for making your home away from home feel more homely. But yeah, let's pick the camera and have a little bit of a look round. So you can probably see actually from this angle here that zip a bit more better. So we've got external fond, that's the zip you got located there. Again, that's a new kind of apex vent, so you see how it doesn't actually go around the curved part of the awning, the rail anymore. It fits a lot smarter. What Kampa have also done is they've worked and done a bit more sort of information. So now the beadings are slightly a bit thicker, so actually it's more of a true 7mm beading for caravans, so it's going to fit in that channel a lot nicer and be more sort of structurally stable. Again, for the wind outs, you're looking at 5mm beading, which again they find doesn't slip out and it kind of works a bit nicer. There's additional zip located right on the very roof at the top there, and now you can actually buy an additional kind of it's like a solar protector, so it's designed to sort of give you a covering which you can probably just about see maybe over the top there. And it just means that you get that extra bit of insulation layer on top, as well as deflecting the heat away, so it's a bit more comfortable. Again, with that veranda style, opened up, really nice, and the extension as we kind of go into it. So mesh panel on the side there with lots of visibility, and that's that window panel that I talked about. So again, that whole panel can sort of pull away, zip back to round to the left, and then it's sort of very much seamless. And as we come back round here again, kind of gets that feel, and you've got that sort of panoramic view around it. So you can get great visibility at all points, then obviously, like I said, the privacy as and when you want it to as well. One thing to mention is now this kind of fits a caravan and a motorhome version. There isn't a draft skirt supplied, so you need to buy a draft skirt as well as a wheel arch cover. Again, because some people have singles, some people have twin axles, so it's very much kind of up to you what you go for. If you're wanting looking like more like the 330 size, then it's going to look something like this. So the panel's a little bit narrower, same depth, same kind of idea. You've got the veranda pole, it's just a little bit smaller. You've still got the zips on either side as well, so that gives you the ability to add those kind of extra extensions. And actually that is kind of an M height, so that's designed for those taller motorhomes. And again, you can kind of probably appreciate how high that rail really is in comparison, and how much that zip opens up. So it means it's really nice and flat right on the bottom itself. To be fair, what we've done as well here is kind of showing you one with a zip fully open and one with a zip fully shut. So here you can see you've got the height adjustment, so when the zip is fully shut and when this sort of height, it fits quite neatly to the ground. You see you're a bit more higher up on the ladders in comparison. When you're here, the zip's fully open. Look how much that flush sits to the ground. It looks really smart, helps to get it looking really taut, but it just looks a bit nicer all round. And that's the same awning height, but you've obviously got that flexibility in kind of the side panel. If you like kind of the all-season material, there is one to look at, another one which will be the Grande All-Season, so it's slightly a bit deeper in its depth. This is one model that we normally do have on display, so you can always check that out as well. But for me, I think the Club is definitely the one everyone sorts after. The versatility of removing the side panels and the front panels, and this kind of more interior height just lends itself to be a bit more comfortable. Plus the extensions all work really, really nicely. So let us know what you think. Like I said, more information in the link below to our website. We've got all the prices and the spec and everything like that, so you need to know. But any more information, contact us directly. If you've got motorhomes, I would recommend sending photos of the side of your vans just to make sure that we can make sure there's no kind of pitfalls. There's a lot of them when it comes to fitting motorhome awnings. But yeah, anything else, just let us know. But that's kind of our little video review on the Dometic Club All-Season range in the 330 and then also the 390.